Proceeds to sickbay. The doctor should look at it as soon as possible.
It is the way in which we propagate our species. Please demonstrate how this is accomplished. So, what's next? I don't know.
Hi, and welcome to Casual Trek, a Star Trek recap and ranking podcast brought to you by Nerd and Ty and the Uncanny Valley. What's that? Over there, it's a completely unconvincing face. Yes, you are looking across the Uncanny Valley. I'm Charlie Etheridge Nunn. I'm a fan of the Fallout video games.
I am Miles Lobato. I have been replaced by a digital algorithm. Yes, by consume feed.
Shit. Oh no, it's happened to him too. Oh, damn these.
I'm being turned into a robot. Send help.
Oh god. Right. Okay. I'm going to get a knife. I'm going to find Jeff Bezos. I'm sure this won't come back and bite me in the arse for saying it online somewhere.
Hello, fellow podcaster. Do you enjoy having skin? I enjoy having skin and organs. Such many organs. Such plentiful organs.
Too many organs?
All the organs.
Oh no.
I am a metaphor for capitalism.
Oh, that's right then. Okay. Hello, metaphor.
And I am Miles Lobato, not actually an AI construct
What?
just yet. No. I'm Miles Lobato, a former Starbucks barista. Almost the same thing to some people. And I am a fan of Jeff Bridges' weird de-aged face in the movie Tron Legacy.
Wow. I've never seen Tron Legacy. I'm sure I've heard the soundtracks. I do like a bit of French electro and a bit of Daft Punk, but
I'll be honest, it's a very, very fun movie. I do miss the lovely naff CG aesthetics of the 80s film.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's a good film, but it's a film you're really there for the soundtrack.
Of course.
In terms of films which have a full-on all Daft Punk soundtrack, it is no Interstellar 5555, but also Interstellar 5555 has character designs by Leiji Matsumoto, one of my favorite manga creators of all time. He did the designs for Space Battleship Yamato. He did Galaxy Express 39, which is a fantastic Star Trek-esque series, except it's set on a steam train that travels through space.
Huh. Okay. I mean, that sounds like a fun premise.
It is, and basically it's about like this 10-year-old boy and his tall, willowy guardian, Maytel, and they're traveling across the universe to go to the planet Lamatel, where you can get upgraded to free robot bodies. And Tetsuo really wants a free robot body. But every planet he comes to is basically a planet of hats.
Oh.
And he learned along the way, you know what? Having myself turn into a robot sounds terrible and would cause me to lose my humanity. So when I reach the planet, I am going to do a James T. Kirk and bring down a corrupt regime.
Nice. I mean, that said, I still kind of want a robot body, if only because it'll probably have a better spine. And, you know, if I have giant, like, robot spider legs or something, even better.
The trouble is, I'm a Doctor Who fan, so I am invariably just kind of, iffy on the idea of having a body, like, cybernetically replaced, because they always do that really awkward thing of, hey, should we cut out all the emotional stuff?
Yeah, that is a bit bad. Like Cybermen being basically a bunch of sliced up meat stuck in a tin can is, yeah, I'd rather not have that. So, Miles, we're the other side of Christmas now, but I feel we're in that space where things aren't yet starting up again. You know, there are still people doing best and worst of type lists, and I know I'm still going to be recovering from New Year's and however much whiskey gets drunk on there. So this feels like time for a bit of a calmer one, bit of a chiller, or at least a bit of a shorter one.
Yes.
So we're putting the big list of best to worst aside, and there was some big event Star Trek wise last year. That was exciting when a thing happened that a lot of fans were excited about. And by that, I mean the episode of Lower Decks where there was a Julian Bashir Garak relationship happening on screen.
Truly, the best moment, Star Trek wise, of 2024. That and the surprise appearance of Jolene Ballock
Blaylock?
as to Paul.
Mm.
And the actress who plays Lily Sloan in First Contact.
Yes. Yeah. One day we will actually watch that episode for the show and rank it on our big list of best to worst. Sadly, as exciting as that was, something big for a certain kind of fandom also happened. And to warm ourselves up.
Is it the setup for 2025 Star Trek comic crossover Lore War, where Lore destroys and then rewrites the universe in his image?
Oh my god, what?
Oh, right, you don't read the comics.
I've got a copy of Godshock. I have yet to read it.
Okay, so basically, at the point we are in the comics, in the main Star Trek title, Lore has stolen... Lore got turned back on by Worf and Spock for reasons.
Oh god.
Lore escaped. Lore stole Data's head. And then gatecrashed a gathering of all the godlike beings in the Star Trek universe because of reasons which start off in Godshock. And then basically Lore detonates a huge bomb, which is wiping out the universes, except for the USS Theseus, which is the ship captained by Sisko in the Star Trek comic, which is trying to escape. And essentially, in the recent, like a Star Trek one-shot, Star Trek 500, it had a teaser for Lore War, where Lore essentially went the maker on the Star Trek universe and has remade it in his own image.
Oh, God.
But realized, no, a whole universe based on people like me isn't going to work. So that's the big kind of crossover we're gonna get in 2025.
Nice.
The big like Day of Blood crossover they did in 2023 was a lot of fun because Shax, Shax is there, and Shax is played entirely straight, but he's still utterly insane, a la Shax.
Oh, good. It'd be weird if he wasn't.
He is basically in a gaming group. He is the tank. Everyone else is like having like drama shenanigans, and Shax is like, right, I'm gonna beat up as many Klingons with a pipe as I can.
Good. Yeah, the Lore War sounds a little like Sins of Sinister from X-Men, where Sinister made all of reality sinister and realized, he hates himself, or at least there are enough problems of him being everyone that he will inevitably be betrayed by a coalition of himself. And maybe him winning was a really bad idea.
Yeah, Sins of Sinister was a fun crossover. I just feel like in the latter half of the Krakoa era, the fact that we go from Judgment Day, or is it Judgment War or Judgment Day?
Judgment Day? I think.
That it goes from Judgment Day to Sins of Sinister to Fall of X. I feel is one of the big problems why like the last year or two of the Krakoa era of X-Men just kind of goes off the boil.
Yeah, it felt a little rushed for what they were doing. But we are also not here to talk about the Star Trek comic. We're talking about something that's been very celebrated by the fans. You know them.
Is it the second Tech War novel, which we will inevitably get to?
No, no. Oddly enough, the fans aren't clamouring for us to cover the next part of the most divorced Blade Runner in the universe.
Is it William Shatner's The Return, a novel written by Judith and Garfield Stevens, but with William Shatner's name in big font on the title, where Captain Kirk gets brought back from the dead after dying in Star Trek Generations, and basically is having his own adventures. And then we find out that the machine race that reconstructed Vija was actually an early version of the Borg, and that the Borg think that Spock is part of the collective because he mind melded with Vija in the motion picture.
I mean, you're not a million miles away, I'll say that.
Okay. All right, fantastic.
Okay,
All right.
okay, yeah, so there's a company called OTOY, and it's...
On the other yak?
Yeah, sure. And...
Optimal Thomas on yogurt?
Maybe. It's a tech company who are trying to make...
I have one more.
Go on.
All right, Optimus, Transformers Over Yonder.
Yeah, I mean, that could be fun, that one. But yeah, basically they are making kind of CG stuff. They're doing a lot of cloud-based bits and pieces. They're run by James Urbach, the CEO and the writer of a fan video / tech demo called Unification. And the fans seem to be wanking themselves inside out over it. So we're fans, just slightly more casual about it. So yeah, so why not have a look at it? Especially because friend of the show / purchaser of Twitter, Sean Corse, has shared this with us. That's right, you lost the bet and can't say it. I can. Yeah, so today we are covering one episode, and given this is fan fiction, it is not going on the big list. This is 765874 Unification. It aired on the 18th of November 2024. Story by OTOY CEO James Urbach and directed by Carlos Baena. It's got a director, apparently. Yeah. This aired... Well, this premiered on the 30th anniversary of Star Trek Generations, as well as 9 years and 9 months since the death of Leonard Nimoy. And as is tradition, we do have a recap. And, I guess if we do that, then we can discuss openly the many things, rather than just do, I guess, what a lot of sites have done and have a fairly generic fan explainer of why it's called 765874.
I assume they asked George Lucas for a title.
Oh, there are lore things in this, not Lore of a Robot, but so much.
For clarification, we will not be mentioning Lore the Robot for the rest of this episode.
Yeah, when we say lore, we mean lowercase lore.
Yeah, and I am, I'm going to set you an alarm. For, I don't know, 2 minutes.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
And, for a film which has weird CG recreations of the now deceased, this will be the alarm sound. That's right, that is the gonk from George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, and also the closing theme from Robot Chicken.
Sounds respectful.
Yeah. All right, Charlie.
Yep.
You have 2 minutes to utterly alienate us in the eyes of Star Trek fandom.
Yes.
Are you a bad enough dude to do it?
Oh, yeah. I've been waiting for this.
All right, and go.
So, Gary Mitchell is floating by the Nexus, looking all godlike. We get flashes of Kirk's grave in Star Trek Generations, and Yeoman Colt, I think the Kelvin Timelines version. We zoom in some grass and a fountain, and we see Generations Kirk's head oddly placed on Sam Witwer's body, moving kind of like a slightly drunk T-Rex, and kind of thinner than Shatner's reined-in gut from the film. He walks towards a crowd by the fountain, and they look like a weird cult. They look like they're going to give him Kool-Aid or something. Saavik is there. You remember Saavik? She silently shows off hers and Spock's son from a novel. Although, this is all completely wordless, so it could have been anyone. Then there's Yor, not Hunter from the future, sadly, but some kind of dimension hopper we'll get to in Discovery. One of the only people that's been both in this timeline and the Kelvin timeline. He hands Kirk his badge, and everything goes a bit weird. Ooh, reference 2001, A Space Odyssey. Kirk's in a long hallway with water underfoot. He's in 3 versions, classic flavor, Star Trek 2 flavor, and Generations. They all look jarring, but in slightly different ways. Then there's just Generations Kirk. He's on Vulcan, I assume once again in the Kelvin verse, where Spock was left. There's a red sun in the distance, tables of plot-relevant tat from old Star Treks. Kirk sits by a bedside. There's Spock looking old and odd, with his face kind of badly placed on Lawrence Selleck's head, with their textures not quite blending like a Skyrim character. His perplexity as friend, doing the eyebrow, but not really in a great way. And then they hold hands, staring out at the sunset. Oh, the end.
2 minutes. You did it in 2 minutes.
Yeah. So, there's a brief bit of Star Trek 2 quoting in there, but otherwise this is all very quiet and dreamlike, but not in a fun dream way. Not in like my dream of being in a speedboat going down a flooded mall staircase with dinosaurs chasing me kind of dream. That was a good dream. But in a kind of slightly disorientated, I guess, like when I was off my tits on whatever they were giving me at hospital before spine stuff was going on, and I was kind of hallucinating dreamlike versions of friends and family running around, one dressed as Predator, and kind of feeling detached from gravity and like time and perception. And it's that, but again, less fun.
I'll be honest, given what you told us about your Family Footer podcast, I don't doubt that a member of your family would dress up as the Predator.
I mean, if my brother had the gear, he would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even now, even in his 40s. But yeah, this I remember seeing people going completely nuts about. I was having a look online, because when you look at a company like OTOY and the kind of amount of funding and things like that, and like the guy in charge is Rod Roddenberry's mate, so of course he gets to do all this Roddenberry archive kind of stuff and all these things, and he's put his wife in as Yeoman Colt because she looks uncannily like Yeoman Colt. I was already feeling like preemptively cynical, and then watching it, I was like, this is it.
Yeah, I watched it on a lunch break, and I'm just like, yep, that was a thing.
So you watched it on a lunch break. Were you watching it on a phone?
Yes.
Okay, I watched it on our television, which is nice and big, and that did not help. I feel like a phone would have helped, because it would have been smaller. Like when you see Lawrence Selleck,
I feel the phone covered up the jank on the Spock. I do want to say, if it's the Vulcan in the Kelvin timeline, that creates a whole sort of continuity mishmash, because Vulcan gets blown up in the first Kelvin verse movie.
Oh shit! Yeah, then I've no idea, because Spock should have been in the Kelvin universe when he died.
Maybe it's New Vulcan. Like they found a planet with a yellow sun, which looks disturbingly similar to like original Flavor Vulcan. Yeah, this works.
Okay, I mean that's the thing. Like with this, I guess it's like, is Shatner yet again resurrected after generations because, well, Kirk resurrected because Shatner really, really wants to keep doing stuff, no matter how unnecessary it feels, and then pushed over? Or was it some kind of ghost, which I figured it was a kind of, despite Gene Roddenberry being very much on the atheist side of things, and against, so many of his plots are about fighting God in Star Trek, that this was some kind of vague afterlife that Kirk was in before he was ushered off to the Kelvin timeline to be there for Spock's last moments.
I mean, I could talk about some really weird Doctor Who stuff with regenerations. At the end of in Tom Baker's final story, Legopolis, there is this white, spectrally ghostly figure which they refer to as the Watcher, who is just kind of standing off, just watching stuff. And we don't get any kind of clue who or what he is. He's just kind of dictating some events. And then when the Tom Baker Doctor dies by falling off a radio telescope to stop the Master trying to destroy the universe with entropy, the Watcher fuses with the Doctor, making him regenerate into Peter Davidson. So it's the idea that it's a kind of a ghost from the future, because in the Doctor Who story, Planets of the Spiders, there is this monk, this Buddhist monk who's hanging out in a Tibetan monastery in the home counties in England.
Yeah.
Who turns out to be the Doctor's mentor from when he was a kid. And then there is this other Tibetan guy who is the ghostly figure of who the first monk is going to regenerate into. So apparently Time Lords can do that.
Right. Okay. Huh.
So I am assuming you're like, I am assuming for Kirk, the Koala did it.
Yeah, probably. Oh,
yeah,
it'd be great if they added the Koala into this.
See, it would be great if this film acknowledged anything from modern Trek.
Yeah, I'd feel a lot less cynical about it.
Yeah. I'm like, it's not as if like there's a huge gathering for Spock at the beginning of the film, in the garden, and oh wait, where's Michael Burnham?
Yeah, where are so many people whose lives were touched by him? If this is some kind of afterlife type thing, where's Chapel?
Where's Pike?
Yeah,
where's Bones? Where is Spock's husband, who he ditched to go reunify the Vulcans and the Romulans because he got into an argument with his husband and just didn't want to admit he might have been wrong.
God, I swear, just looking at some of the screen captures from Unification, and Kirk's face looks like that kind of in a video game, like on the Xbox One or something, when you're not playing a bit, but it's a bit of cinematic, where there's some detail, but because it's capturing someone that's real, it doesn't quite look right. I remember the Buffy video game on the GameCube, where they had the rights for the likenesses of about half the cast and the voices of about 2 of the cast. And you'd go like, oh yeah, this is obviously this actor's face. This is very much not. And it made it look it felt extremely weird.
I always think back to the GoldenEye game for the N64.
Yeah. God. Well, or there's the GoldenEye game for the Wii, where they did bad versions of Daniel Craig.
Oh God.
instead. Yeah, they tried making alternative versions of like who they would be in the modern era. Yeah, which is just odd, just a bit jarring.
Or alternatively, Star Trek Voyager Elite Force,
Oh yeah.
where which is a PS1 style game, and oh my god, oh my,
I'm sorry. Again, looking at these images from it, I'm just looking at Kirk, like Sam Witwer slash Shatner's Kirk, just kind of weirdly like puffing his
it
body.
looks
His kind of,
it looks awkward.
it looks so awkward.
I mean, it looks like it looked like he's just come across, I don't know, like some dogging going on in a car park somewhere, and he's just kind of like, I kind of want to stay, but I want to go before the police turn up.
Yeah, it's like the amount that must have been spent on this, and the amount of time and effort. And Emma and I watched it and was like, that looked terrible. Like the way Kirk moved looked terrible. The way Spock's face was templated, apparently with AI, onto his face, it felt like Skyrim or anything where you look at someone's face and it's too detailed, like too oaken, like every pore, every bit. And then the moment you hit like their neck, and suddenly it's mannequin on the rest of it, and this kind of smoothness, and it felt like there wasn't blending between them. God, and,
It doesn't help that it looks like the makeup seemed a bit too like heavy, because the way Sam Witwer is moving as Kirk kind of makes him look like he's the Elephant Man.
yeah. Now I've not seen much with. I don't think I've seen much with Sam Witwer in. I didn't see the American Being Human, as I enjoyed the British one and didn't see any point in an American one. And like, does he just move like this? Because if you're templating a Kirk head onto his body, why did he need to move like this?
Like, why do you need to move like Doug Jones as Saru?
I mean, Doug Jones moves more elegantly than this.
Or have you seen the Ready Room where Doug Jones teaches Will Wheaton how to move like Saru?
I think you showed me some of that.
It's very funny and very charming to see Doug Jones, the human animatronic, and Will Wheaton, the evil guy from The Big Bang Theory, doing the Saru walk, looking like pouty supermodels.
God, it feels like if I was very drunk and tried to do the Saru walk, but with the awkwardness of knowing that I'll probably bang into a bunch of things.
Oh
like,
God,
that's how Kirk moves.
I know what it looks like.
Mm.
In Doctor Who, you get a lot of stories in Doctor Who where it's basically guys in bulky monster suits kind of having like conversations in corridors, and they just stand really awkward, like either really awkwardly or really casually. So like, if you want to see a Cyberman slouch, it's like the 80s Cyberman where it's like just guys in boiler suits and heads just kind of standing in conversations. And the thing is, the voices are being dubbed in later, so you just have these actors kind of just jerking their bodies because upward jerking indicates dialogue.
Upward jerking.
Yeah, he's kind of when you walk up to someone and you're having dialogue and it goes to a cutscene.
Yeah,
and you just kind of to indicate that dialogue is going. Your body just kind of starts moving in all directions, and you're gesticulating wildly with a gun in your hand if it's that kind of game, which is bad gun etiquette.
I mean, yeah, moving with the grace of a Half-Life 1 scientist.
Or just like the cutscenes from Resident Evil 2. Or just the cutscenes from Resident Evil.
Yeah, wonderful things because of how janky and terrible they are.
Yeah. but with people. It's Human Jank, which sounds like a really awesome name for electronic band.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, so, like, story-wise, this is basically Kirk somehow either gets resurrected or afterlife moved over to New Vulcan, just looking through varied notes and unpackers, because this is the kind of thing with so much lore that, of course, it has to be unpacked and has to be, like, oh yeah, this reference to an obscure comic and all that.
This is the thing I really kind of don't like about modern fandom.
Mm.
Which is, don't try and, have an opinion for yourself. Go onto YouTube and have someone else give you a terrible reading of what they think the ending means.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've heard more about what the artifacts in this are than about what it means, ultimately. Things like someone's credited as Crusher. I mean, who cares? They're not going to do anything.
They didn't say anything.
No. Allegedly, it's a descendant of Beverly Crusher.
And did Beverly Crusher have like a noted relationship with Kirk and or Spock?
Yeah. Who knows? I figured it was going to be the OG Jack Crusher, but no, apparently not. But yeah, and then there's Savick, who, I gather Robin Curtis was very happy to reprise Savick, but does it do anything that she's there?
I mean, not particularly. I mean, she's there.
Yeah.
It's not as if, like, Kirk just kind of like, yes, I think I know you.
Mm.
It's like, he's kind of acting like Gandalf in the Two Towers when Gandalf the White appears to Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas. He's like, yes, Gandalf, I was once known by that name. Ooh, I will stroke my beard.
So yes, you're still known by Gandalf. Stop being cheeky.
You're Gandalf. No one wants to call you Mithrandir. Stop trying to make Mithrandir happen.
Yeah. I mean, apparently Savick and Spock were married or were intended to be married in a novel, and like, I mean, that was never a thing that anyone cared about. Like, he didn't go, oh yeah, I'm on this mission in the actual unification. Don't tell the missus or anything.
Like, I still think it's funnier with Sean's theory that it's that McCoy is his partner.
Oh, definitely.
It was like a thing that was cut from Star Trek 4, infamously, that because Savick and Spock did the nasty on the Genesis planet, that she is now pregnant, which then got cut out because Leonard Nimoy found it awkward.
Yeah.
And I kind of have to... I'm with Leonard on this one, which makes that, bringing it back even more like, okay. Mm-hmm. Did we really need to have the baby, which Spock isn't even kind of consciously around for?
Yeah.
Like, this is some Avengers issue 200 level of okay. Anyone think about this? But no, it's canon, so it's now real.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, we've got Colt at the start, who it looked like I saw the first parts of this. Like, this unification, this 10-minute thing is part 4, I think, kind of. But the previous parts are basically pretty much just the start. Like, Yeoman Colt stands around, we have a look at the grave site from Star Trek Generations, and someone takes Kirk's badge off from the gravesite, and that's it for one of them. There's equally abysmal old Spock at one point, and a young Spock, also jarring, kind of hilariously so. But none of it does or means anything. None of it enlightens me as to this, aside from just going, so Colt is probably Kelvin Colt. And does this mean Gary Mitchell is somehow telling her this? Like, why does Gary Mitchell care? Why does Colt care? Aside from, again, James Urbach's wife apparently looks uncannily like the actress for Yeoman Colt. And that's it. Like, her... the number at the start of this is her, like, Starfleet registration number, rank number, whatever. Like, we never really hear numbers for these characters, but a Star Trek Early Voyages comic, I forget who wrote it. I think, was it Evan Skolnick or someone? And Patrick Zurcher did the art for, and I read about 4 issues of, like, I liked it because the contrarian casual Trek enthusiast in me was like, never really cared for Kirk. Oh, this guy Pike, he's in comics and no one's covered anything with him, so this is fun. And apparently that's referenced as, like, her identification number in that comic at some point. So wow, what a great piece of lore and an essential part of the tapestry that is Star Trek. So did you watch the other films in this series?
Not really.
No, I can't recommend them.
It's been a busy week, and I've had a cold.
Yeah,
and like I could be watching something much more fun.
Yes,
like Blake 7 or Doctor Who: The Ice Warriors, which is where I am currently on my rewatch, and it's a lot of fun and has a lot of creatures standing in corridors having hissed conversations with each other.
Nice. Yes, I've been away, so I've not been actually watching anything for the most part. Like, getting back recently, I was I caught up with Lower Decks, and then I watched these in, I don't know, each one's like under a minute to a couple of minutes. And again, I cannot recommend people spend minutes of their life in that way. Play some Balatro instead. Or, I don't know, like, do some cleaning.
I've been playing The Quarry, which has like mocap of actual actors, which is which looks a lot better than this. I mean, okay, there's some jank, but not every games company has Kojima money to throw at actor mocap.
To be honest, I don't need convincing CGI. Like, when we're saying the CG looks like bollocks here, it's not to go dive further along the uncanny valley, give us some, like, even more uncanny looking things. Like, make them look like Star Trek Prodigy, animate them like Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Make them look like whatever that Telltale looking Star Trek video game was. Or, you've obviously got a shit ton of money. Just get Chris Pine as, like, Zachary Quinto or Forehead from Vampire Diaries.
The trouble is, like, that's kind of the problem. I feel you have a lot of Star Trek fans, like, having very genuine emotional reactions. I don't want to poo-poo it, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, but it's not Leonard Nimoy, it's not William Shatner. It's basically, you've made it 2 action figures holding hands as the sun rises or sets. Like, I have no emotional reaction to that. Like, if this was a scene in, like, say, maybe a Star Trek novel, then yeah, I could probably have much more of an emotional reaction, because the book and the prose would actually be doing stuff. Yes. It would actually be trying to simulate an emotion, whereas this, it is like, hey, here is a guy who has a modern day equivalent of the Michael Myers mask from Halloween, and a guy who has Leonard Nimoy's face on, like Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs,
Mm.
there's your emotional resonance. I'm like, I know it's not real.
Yeah.
Like they're not like, yes, it's a simulacrum of Kirk, it's a simulacrum of Spock. It's not the actors, so I'm not going to have the same reaction as like the end of Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, where I'm watching Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner act.
Yeah.
Like there is no actual performance.
We've been doing this for a few years now with Casual Trek, and obviously we have seen some Star Treks before all of this because we liked it enough to go, let's actually dig deeper into all of this, and go see where it takes us. But you could have different actors, you could have different voice actors, you could do anything. This feels like necrophilia, ultimately, and for nothing really emotionally interesting. It's like watching Mandalorian, how instantly turned off I was by seeing CG Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Or like CG Leia in... Was it Rogue
Right.
One that has CG Leia?
I think both Rogue One and Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. And it just feels cold and jarring and weird. And again, it feels like a necrophiliac move. Cast someone else. We can deal with it. People have imagination. People, when this old guy has been replaced by this weird hobo, and these are both the Doctor, we can cope. And it feels like whenever you give people what you think they want as fandom, and just go, here is this glut, here's this stuff, this sludge that looks like a thing you remember when you were younger and happier, and it's empty calories.
It's funny that you talk about Doctor Who, because very famously Tom Baker refused to reprise his role for the Five Doctors, so they basically stock footaged him out.
Mhm.
He gets stuck in a time eddy, but for the promotional pictures, there are the four actors who are playing the Doctor. Well, okay, the three actors who are playing the Doctor, and Richard Hurdnall, who is basically doing the most bargain basement William Hartnell impression, and they've got the Tom Baker waxwork from Madame Tussauds, the Fourth Doctor, and it's amazing because it's real. And there are some behind the scenes like photos of the four actors holding this waxwork. So it is it's like four of the Five Doctors sitting in Betty and a Tom Baker waxwork, which they've made no effort to look like a human being. It still looks it's grinning waxwork, and it's hilarious, and it's amazing, and it's real.
Wow. Yeah, and yeah, just any of those kind of things of like, that is something. And it's like the same way that you can see cardboard sets, or even on Enterprise, the kind of plasticky fake engineering, and as long as people do it convincingly, then it doesn't matter.
It's why I've liked whenever classic Doctors have appeared in modern Who, they've made no effort to de-age, to like make him look younger.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, here's the holographic ghost of the Sixth Doctor. Yeah, it looks nothing like Colin Baker did. Yeah, Colin Baker's old and a much larger gentleman. And Peter Davidson is a much larger gentleman than he was in the 80s. We're going to stick him in an equivalent of his costume, but we're just going to have him look old.
Mm.
And yeah, it works.
Yeah,
it's like there is that suspension of disbelief, but it still feels a lot realer than what we're getting here.
Yeah, and like we've seen and we've gone through a journey. I think people that have listened to all of Casual Trek so far, I'm sorry, but also when we first encountered Paul Wesley as Kirk, going like, it's fine, I guess, to things like Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, where you go like, oh my god, this guy's so much fun. Like, as Kirk, not as a Shatner parody, but as Kirk, he brings exactly the energy you want. and that feels so much better than the cowardice of just digging up the bones of people, and like that.
I mean,
weird, dead-eyed, fake.
Have old William Shatner just have like this ghost or whatever of Kirk, like have him just be the Shatner as he is now. Stick him in the burgundy and the white color.
Yeah,
like you could have him be aging like in 2001. It's like have it be actual William Shatner. Yes, he doesn't look like he did even with Generations, but it'll still be Shatner.
Yeah. I mean, hell, Q aged himself up to be at the level that John Delancey was in Picard, and it's like fine. Again, we don't need hands being held for any of this.
Yeah, it's like the people who are watching this are going to be our age and older and younger. And it's like we know it's not going to be we know it's not Leonard Nimoy, but we also know it's not William Shatner.
Yeah.
We're just watching smooth de-age algorithms just being plastered over makeup.
Yeah, and standing around while admittedly, it's Michael Giacchino's music, and as a Lost fan, he does some beautiful music, but what does any of this do?
It doesn't. Why do we care? Like the visuals don't. Okay, all the people who raved about Unification all fucking hated the ending of Lost.
Well, yeah, because it wasn't a PowerPoint presentation going, this meant this, this meant this, this meant this.
And like,
even when they did that, it still didn't care.
And I admit, I admit, I am not a huge fan of the ending of Lost, but that's because I watched it a few days after the last episode of Ashes to Ashes, which ends with Gene Hunt punching the devil in the face. And Lost kind of does the same thing, but with oh god, what's his name? Jack, punching Locke, who is being who's been possessed by the evil of the island. But Gene Hunt did it better.
Yeah, see, it was a few years before I saw Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes, which are very good. I'm not a cop drama guy. When I heard it got weird, I was like, "Ooh, give me weird.
Give me weird.
I want weird here." And luckily it delivered.
Yeah,
but this
I admit I like the ending of Battlestar.
Yeah,
it worked for me because it felt like the ending of the story was coming, like an ending the story was coming to. It's like some bits are satisfying, some bits aren't, and then it goes into all along. It goes to the present day, and it goes to all along the Watchtower. It's like I can see why people don't like it, but it was. I think it's the ending. The show kind of worked itself to.
Yes, it ended on its terms.
Yeah,
and like both it and Lost felt like divisive, but they ended how they felt they needed to end. Then you had shows like Dexter and True Blood, where it felt like a corpse shambling across a finish line, which those both ended similar kind of times, and instantly felt like I felt justified in going, no, Lost and BSG were fine.
Yeah.
It's like, here is what's not.
It's like the original ending to The Prisoner, which was notoriously controversial back in the day, because the ending of The Prisoner goes, right, let's just make this as allegorical as we can. Like, instead of having it be like this big revelation about what the village is, who is in control of the village, is number one just a cackling, sneering James Bond villain. No, we're gonna go pure allegory. The prisoner is the metaphor for every man, and number one is actually his shadow self. And then we're gonna play like the Beatles and have an awesome machine gun fight, and we're gonna explain Jack. And possibly the most iconic ending of a TV show of all time.
Oh, I loved that ending. Like, it's that show is something that's been very inspirational to me. One of the things I'm hoping to get accomplished or get closer to in 2025 is Amnesiac City being more of a thing. And yeah, look to The Prisoner for certain elements, because that and Silent Hill are two very big influences on it. So yeah, do we have anything else for this unification?
I admit, just there is a part of me which is like, if you watch this, go for it. If you enjoy it, fantastic. Tell us why you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and just hopefully it's not a recognized thing.
But all I'm gonna say is, don't read the comments, because I feel like the comments just make me take my. The comments for this YouTube video make my opinion of unification go from slight apathy to anger-inducing.
Yes,
because one of the big continuing comments, which is on the video, is this is real Star Trek. This is what Star Trek is, and I'm just like, but no, like
this is nothing.
This is not Star Trek. I mean, this is the problem I have with how Star Trek has been, and it's the same with Star Wars, in which they're letting the nostalgia run the asylum.
Yeah.
It's like, we rag on seasons 1 and 2 of Picard, but at least they try something, and season 3 is basically the big fan wank crowd pleaser. Let's get everyone back. Let's just get all the crew back together. It's going to take us 8 episodes to get the entire crew back together, and it's going to be these guys saving Starfleet from the younger generations.
God.
It's just
like, these people, these actors, these characters, we've loved them both, like both in and out of the fiction, and they are not immortal. And in trying to immortalize them, it with this kind of technology always rings false and always feels kind of morbid, like unpleasantly morbid.
It feels like pandering to the loud members of the audience who are going to be complaining, oh, this isn't my Trek. It's not Spock, McCoy, and Bones on another adventure. It's not Picard or Riker and Worf. Like, this is new, and it has people. It has more than one token minority, and thus I hate it instinctively. It's pandering to the woke mind virus, and it's just like, Star Trek Next Generation got those same complaints.
Yeah.
Star Trek Deep Space Nine definitely got those same complaints. Anyone who tells you otherwise, anyone who tells you that there was no controversy about Avery Brooks or Kate Mulgrew being captains or commanders in DS9 and Voyager are lying and trying to sell you something.
Yeah, I remember hearing, this is years ago, seeing a documentary about Star Trek, and in the writer's room, them covering up a bust of Gene Roddenberry when they were talking about having a woman as captain. You know, it's like, it wasn't great. Like,
no.
Just because it's more commonly accepted now and people are mad about the next thing, doesn't mean that they weren't before.
No.
And people telling you that, they've got an agenda in doing that.
Like, I remember when the Doctor Who TV movie came out. I remember the rage about having a sexy, attractive Doctor. I remember the rage about the Doctor kissing the companion. And to some extent, I kind of I've come back and forth. I've come back and forth on elements. I remember when I remember when like hell, Colin Baker was hated by Doctor Who fandom for years, both during and after his time in the role. And now he's seen as like now he's seen as like, oh, Colin Baker, he had such a nuanced performance. We loved him. It's like, no, you've grown to love him. A, out of nostalgia, and B, it is due to a chunk of the work they did with Big Finish, with making a more nuanced version of the Sixth Doctor. It went and fixed it over time. It's just like you kind of put that time, those memories in like a perfect bubble where everything was perfect, because let's be fair and honest, you didn't realize how screwed up the world was, so you think it was perfect back then.
Yeah. Oh dear. Wow. So, what a way to start 2025 with this nice little leftover lump of coal. From Christmas.
It looks nice, but the trouble is, if it's like with Star Trek, it's like with Star Trek Legacy. If you're just going to start rehashing, if you're just going to keep doing traditional safe Star Trek, don't be surprised when Star Trek just kind of becomes that. Like, that's as much as I enjoy Strange New Worlds, that's kind of the problem with it. It's basically traditional Star Trek using recognizable characters on a recognizable ship. It's not trying for anything new. Like, Enterprise tried and Enterprise failed, but the lesson from that shouldn't be don't try anything new.
Yeah. Well, of course, soon enough they are going to be trying some new things. As our next few episodes, we're on the road to Section 31, and we'll get to see what that's going to be like. But yeah, we'll see, as we've been closing the doors on Discovery, on Lower Decks. There's a Starfleet Academy show in the works, and that doesn't seem to have abandoned the future of Discovery. And we'll see. Will Section 31 actually be good? Like, the latest trailer, who knows? It feels less like a Borderlands for movie experience than the previous ones, but who knows?
Is it wrong that I'm I'm looking forward more to whatever it is we're going to record on Section 31 with both Celeste and Sean than I am about watching the thing itself?
It's something that's making me very enthusiastic about watching Section 31, to be able to unpack it with yourself and with those two.
Oh god, we've reached that point. We've reached that point with Star Trek where it's like, oh man, I'm not excited to watch it for its own merits. I'm excited to watch it so I can make a podcast about it.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
We truly have reached that form for kind of thought we were at the start of Casual Trek, and now we are here. 2025, we have reached our final form.
Oh god.
So
I remember when my mum asked me, why are you doing a Star Trek podcast, not a Doctor Who podcast? And my response was, I want to keep liking Doctor Who.
Yeah. So, on that note, next time we're going to do a primer on Section 31. And after that, it'll be the event itself. So, before then, Miles, where can people find you, and what are you looking forward to in this year to come? Which, it's going to be a fraught one, not just because of Section 31, but give us some hope.
You can find me on mareedlabato.wordpress.com, which is my blog. I wrote a nice little piece about my brief villain arc involving a local pub quiz, which I had a lot of fun kind of writing, and Charlie gets a mention.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's I know you've had on and off times with writing on the blog, but it is always a joy on my RSS feeder to see the Endless Bookshelf pop up.
And you can find me on milesreedlobato.bluesky.social, bsky.social, something like that. And what I'm looking forward to in 2025 is I am looking forward to the film 28 Years Later, because the new trailer, the trailer for the film dropped, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a trailer using its powers for good.
Yes, definitely.
And I am also looking forward to catching up on all the books I bought in 2024 and 2023 and 2022 that I've not read yet.
Yeah.
And what about you, Charlie?
So, people can find my work over at fakedtales.com for any blog stuff, Who Dares Rolls for RPG and board game reviews, and skyshark.itch.io for comics and RPGs. And yeah, I'm looking forward to a lot of smashing apart and fixing of this house. There are things that need to get fixed. I've been recording a lot of the time, despite the glow of the monitor, in the dark in this workroom because the light has not worked for some time. And I'm finally at a point where these things can get fixed. So, yeah, trying to go from survival to living is
Would be
going to be
nice.
nice.
Would be nice.
Yes. Yeah, as long as the world doesn't blow up just as I hit this point, because that'd be like a really cliched, like Sod's Law kind of thing. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that's it from us and from Unification. I've no idea if OTOY are going to do something else, but
Say what you like about the Transformed Man. At least it's actually Shatner, ego and all.
Yes, there is that. It is gloriously egotistical. Yeah. So that's it from us. And in a couple of weeks, get ready to get sneaky with Section 31.
Live long and have a jelly baby.
Yeah, a real one, not a freakish CGI one.
Yeah.
You have been listening to Casual Trek, a Nerd and High podcast, presented by Charlie Etheridge Nunn and Miles Reed Lobato. Music by Alfred Etheridge Nunn. Star Trek by Paramount. Not us. Not yet.